Hi guys. So recently in the month of December, I had decorated this room that my bookshelves happened to be in for the holidays. And one of the things I did was I had my Christmas tree right here and I turned my books around so that I could put up holiday decor. I know where all my books are, so it really wasn't distracting for me. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, where's all my stuff? I just had fun with it. I made a little video where I showed me decorating, and so many people got really worked up about that. I've seen in the past too giant Twitter arguments about how people organize their bookshelves, which to me is hilarious because I don't care how you organize your books in your own home, but I understand that if I'm recording videos and you're kind of being subjected to looking at all these pages instead of spines, that if it irks you, it's like, ugh, it's a little frustrating. And we all have our bookish pet peeves most of the time, and I'm admitting for myself too, they're very unreasonable, they're silly, they're things that ultimately don't matter. I wanted to ask all of you, what are your unreasonable bookish pet peeves that we can all get together and be unreasonable with one another? The first one's actually from my friend Jade from Bedtime Bookworm, and she says, deckled pages. I hate them. If you don't know, deckled pages are when the pages are not cut evenly. And I actually love it because I think it makes it seem so old-timey. But a lot of people say that it makes it really annoying when they're trying to flip the page, like they can't get the right page and they don't like the way it feels. The next person, they just listed a bunch off. They said unaligned spines, dog-eared pages, off-center dust covers. I am so with you on the unaligned spines. It drives me crazy too. The Seven Realms series is an example of some unaligned spines, and oh my gosh, it annoys me too. As for the off-center dust jackets, oh my gosh, that annoys me on a different level because since I have a book and you can purchase the book from me, I will sometimes order them in bulk, sign them, and then when you guys buy them, I send them to you. Oh my gosh, it's worse than just ordering a book and having an off-center dust jacket because I know that I am going to be sending this to you. It's not my fault that it was sent to me like this, but I'm not going to send it to you like that. So sometimes it's sometimes I feel like several is underplaying it. Sometimes it's a lot of the books they get sent to me and I'm like, gosh darn it. And then I have to like realign the stupid dust jacket. It drives me crazy. The next person says, my books need to be in good condition. I don't like when covers don't match. So the first, second, those are kind of two separate things. Good condition, well, I have some books that are definitely not good condition because of my dog. So I'll keep them if they're still readable, but eventually if I'm going to put them on my shelf and have them look nice, I probably don't just want being all ripped up. As for the covers matching, so anytime there's a cover change in the middle of a series, that drives me crazy. Something like An Ember in the Ashes, where the first couple came out. I didn't really think there was anything wrong with these covers. They were fairly generic, kind of vague, but I liked them, and then they re-released them before the series is done, meaning they're never going to continue the original covers for the entirety of the series. They have those first two, and if you got those and you want them to match for the rest of the series, you basically just have to get rid of them or have them not match. It's super frustrating. Oh, this next one's hilarious. It's from my husband. It says, anytime George R.R. Martin has a quote comparing a book to Game of Thrones. We laugh at this all the time, so we understand that marketing teams are comparing everything to Game of Thrones now. It's the African Game of Thrones. It's the young adult Game of Thrones. But when George R.R. Martin himself compares things to Game of Thrones, it's hilarious. He did it for this book, and I don't remember the series, but if I can find it, I'll insert the image. It's some series about dinosaurs. It's a fantasy series. And he says something like, it's like if you combine Jurassic Park and Game of Thrones. And it's like, okay, so you took the two most mainstream fantasy and dinosaur related things. The next one says, readers who wrap the book behind when reading. The poor spines. I've seen a lot of people get frustrated by that, and it does not bother me in the slightest. My head, I'm just like, but it's an inanimate object, so, it makes it easier. Sometimes the words, they just go so far into the spine that you kind of have to bend them. That would be the pet peeve for me, when books, the spines are so rigid that when you go to open it up, you're midway through the book and you can't even see the words anymore. That's my pet peeve. Ooh, Sophia from Sophia's Thoughts, so I'll link her channel down below. She sent one in and she said different height books in the same series. That drives me crazy too. That's the Way of Kings. These floppy paperbacks. For some reason, the first one is taller than the other two, and it's such a tiny difference that I didn't notice it for the longest time. And one day I was looking at them, and then I looked at my husband Sean, and I was like, "These aren't the same size." And then he looked at them, and he's like, "Oh no, now I can't unsee it." This next one I feel like is not very common, but I feel you on it, and it says, when they only release a book in paperback and never release a hardcover version. What frustrates me is when there's a series where they start off only publishing it as paperbacks, and then the series picks up and it's getting more popular, Witcher, and then all of a sudden they'll release the new one in a hardback, Season of Storms, and you're like, what the heck? Why is this hardback when none of the previous books that you've put out are hardbacks? This next one's getting so specific. And I love it because I agree. It's when they change the size, color, design of the publishing house logo on the spine. The next one says blurbs or other dumb things on the cover like New York Times best-selling author, etc. I don't mind this kind of stuff if it's pretty small. It bothers me when there's no synopsis anywhere and all you get are quotes, New York Times best-selling author, or this other famous author loves it. And you're like, okay, but what the heck is it about? I would say, though, kind of an extension of that, I don't like when authors release a book and the book does really well, and then they release a new book that has nothing to do with the previous book, and then they'll put some big thing that says author of, and then they mention their other book. I'm always like, gosh, I know. You don't need to stamp it on the cover. This next one says, I can't read a book when I hate the character's name. I'm not sure if I've ever come across a book where I absolutely hate a character's name, but definitely let me know if there are any for you. Or better yet, let me know if there's any book where the main character's name to this day, you're like, I don't actually know how to say it. Oh, I've never thought about this one, and now I'm very curious if this annoys other people. It says, when an author's picture covers the whole back portion of the dust jacket looking at you, Stephen King. This next person says, when books by the same author are not next to each other. This next one says, why aren't series numbered on the spines more often? Would be so helpful. And I agree. I love when there's numbers on the spine. Oh, this next one I agree with so much. It says, I hate it when the cover of a paperback is shorter than the actual book. I know exactly what she's talking about. It's this. Like, why? What's the point of that random little strip? Why don't they go all the way? Are they saving money? Is this an aesthetic? Am I supposed to like how this looks? I don't understand. Oh, I feel this next one. It says stickers on the covers. And here's the thing. A sticker on the cover that comes off, little annoying. You have to get the residue off, whatever. It's mildly annoying to me. What really frustrates me are permanent stickers. That's what I call them. And I have a perfect example. Why is this permanent? I love the big floppy paperbacks of these, but why do I need to know bonus full page illustration unique to this edition? Why is this here all the time? Once I know that information and I see, oh look, like there it is. I don't need this there anymore. I don't need that. I don't need it there anymore. This next one's kind of vibey, but it's funny. It says, when other bookworms treat their books like eggs and can't let them look like they've been read. A couple people mentioned that they get really frustrated when books are from the same series, but then they get a different publisher. So for example, this person says books from the same series, but from different publishers with other sizes or themes. This one is a little bit different than some of the others. Some of these are more about appearance. This one's actually about content. It says, brand name products and books, it's not going to age well, and I automatically dock a star for it. So I think what you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, is when it's like a contemporary book and they're like, I went down to Starbucks to get my coffee. This next one says, books not having chapter names makes the book lack a sense of personality. That's not something that bothers me. I can understand where you might miss it. Something like Game of Thrones, where it's the name of the character right? That's how Game of Thrones does it. I've seen that done before, so I feel like it makes sense in a story where you're going from character to character that would be their name. Not sure if that bothers you. Do you just mean like if it just says chapter 1 that you don't like that? What I'll say is that it bothers me to no end when books don't have chapter numbers. So if it's chapter 1, put chapter 1. If it's chapter 7, put chapter 7. When books don't do that, the reason it bothers me so much is because I like to go back and forth between physical and the audiobook. If I'm listening to the audiobook when I'm driving, and then I'm like, okay, what chapter did I get to? And then it usually has the chapters in the audiobook, but then I'll go to the physical copy and there's no numbers. And I'm like, well, shoot, where the heck am I? I'll go ahead and wrap this up and just do one more. This is one I think a lot of people will agree with. And it says really thin pages. Hate them. I love me some thick pages. Here's my 2 cents on the page size thing. I don't like when they're so thick that every time I turn a page, I'm like, wait, are they stuck? And then I feel like I have pages stuck together. I'm like, oh no. And I look at the page number. I'm like, no, they're fine. But when they're too thick and like I'm constantly doing that, and then I finally tell myself, you need to stop. You're not getting 2 pages at once. And then at some point I will get 2 pages at once, which I'm realizing this just makes me sound dumb. I like normal size pages. Page thickness, I like it to be standard. Anyway, thank you so much to all of you who submitted your unreasonable bookish pet peeves. I had a lot of fun with this. I feel like so many of these things are very relatable. Some of these things are not things I've ever really thought about. And now I'm afraid I'm going to. And I'm going to be even so much more obnoxious when I'm reading because I'm already like, gosh darn it, the pages, ugh. Or I'll look at the spines. I'm like, they're not even meh. And I get annoyed at dumb stuff. And now you guys have made me more aware of other dumb things that don't matter. If you have any pet peeves that we didn't talk about, go ahead and let me know what those are in the comment section down below. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day and I'll see you all later. Bye.